Hi everyone and welcome to Impact. I'm Nick Barber, your host for the government segment. And we have again, continuing our conversation from the last show, Marc Gronich. And Marc is the president of Statewide News Service. Welcome again, Marc.
Okay, thanks, Nick. It's great to be back.
Yeah, good to see you. I know that you've been holding some thoughts for about a few weeks here, so now we'd like to continue, being this is part two of our very stimulating and informative conversation about the New York State Legislature the last time, and we were talking about well, the caucuses and about even salaries and leadership positions. So maybe we could pick up where we left off. Sure. And get into even the assembly part.
Well, the assembly.
Yeah, let's do that. The assembly.
Bigger body.
Yeah.
150 members. 150. There are currently going to be 107 Democrats.
Wow.
So it's a veto-proof majority there.
Right. Super majority.
Super majority.
Yep.
And 42 Republicans.
Yes.
And one independent party, Fred Thiel from Suffolk County,
okay,
who caucuses with the Republicans.
With the Republicans.
So if you want to say there's 43 Republicans.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Still
for that part.
Huge majority.
But still,
yeah,
it's, you know,
yep,
the Democrats, the average age of a Democrat in the Assembly is 54.4 years old.
Similar to the Senate.
Oh, yeah.
A little younger, but similar.
No,
yeah,
it's a year difference.
Yeah.
And then the average age for a Republican in the Assembly is 50.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
In the Senate, the Republicans are a few years, 58 years old.
Yes.
But the point is, you have a young crop of folks in on the Republican side in the Assembly. Yeah. It's a self-cleansing organization, I guess, of legislators. Yeah. And their backgrounds are so diverse. It used to be everyone thought that they were lawyers.
Good point.
And
I mean, the concept that everybody, or perception rather, that everybody has is all legislators are lawyers, you know?
It's not.
That's not true anymore. I mean, there used to be a lot of attorneys.
There are a lot of attorneys.
And there still are, but
there are social workers.
Yeah.
There are people who are from journalism.
Yes.
Who've gotten into the legislature.
Good, yeah.
And there are people who are in the in so many different fields.
What's the Assembly pay now, Marc?
The legislature, Senate and Assembly earn the same.
Yes.
$79,500.
Boy, that's where it was, you know. But what about the stipends in the leadership position? How many of them get special stipends or
in the minority side? Just about all of them, because it's a smaller group.
Oh, okay.
So they can pack it in.
Yeah.
And create new positions.
Yeah.
So the Senate Republicans just about took care of everyone.
Right.
They all get an extra stipend.
Right.
You know, whether it's 9,000 or 20,000 or 10,000 or 15,000, it's somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
It's between 10 and 20,000 generally.
Yeah.
And
how many days a year do they work? And some work more than others. But let's say
it's not what they.
Is it required time? How does that work? How do you measure?
Be careful when you say.
Okay.
Because I worked with these folks.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you
just
know.
Because they're not in session.
Yes.
Doesn't mean they're not working.
I know that.
So when you say
I've done it at a local level.
How many hours do they work?
Yeah.
You might mean how many hours? How many days are they in session? Because they're working in their district office when they're not in session.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
Well, let me rephrase it, because
they're in session about 50-some odd days.
I used to be on the county legislature years ago in Schenectady, and the city council and the county legislature used to get mixed up because I was a city representative, and everyone thought that the city representative on the county board, it used to be called county board before the county legislature, was a city council person. And I'd go out and people say, I would like to have your job. I'd like to do what you do. I said, what do you mean? It's a county legislator. Well, you guys only meet once a month. That's cool, you know. I said, really? That's their understanding was all I did was go to a meeting for 2.5 hours once a month, and then I went home. Well, it was so far different than that. I mean, all the caucuses, the time, the constituents, the research, public appearances, everything. So I'm not trying to minimize what they do in the state legislature, but I guess I should say how much time is involved. You know, do they get any time off?
I tell you, there are some of these legislators who put in, who are on the road and put over 100,000 miles a year on their car.
Yes. Well,
okay. I mean, they just go from one end of the district to the other. They're always in different counties.
Yeah.
They're always running around to different meetings. And there are others who are in very safe districts.
Yes.
That they could just have staff.
Staff handle
everything, and they can run off to be involved in other caucuses and conferences and other and you know, take vacations.
Right.
And whether it's to the Caribbean or to Europe, and you know, so there's a variety there
the way
too.
It works. Some work harder than others, put in more time.
But you look at someone like Pete Lopez, who had to deal with Hurricanes Irene and Lee.
Oh yes.
And his district ran from Shenango County.
Yes.
In central New York.
Yes.
All the way to Columbia County, on the Massachusetts border.
Yes.
I mean,
huge.
He had 7 counties that he had to run all the way, and there was no highway in between.
Yeah, they didn't have the Warren Anderson Highway. That
no,
I-88.
I-88. No, he had to go from town to town to town.
Yeah,
and he had survived. He was there 6 years.
Yeah,
3 elections.
Yeah,
the first time he's had an opponent.
Yeah,
but he really wanted the seat, and he works hard at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are others who don't have to work so hard, whether they've been in office for such a long time, people know them, people have confidence in them, you know, that they know they're going to get the work done. They have a pattern, these legislators, they know how to, they have a cookie-cutter approach, they know how to, they have their form letters done.
They have a system.
They have a system.
By no means am I saying they don't earn their pay or they don't work hard. That's not what I'm saying.
But I'm saying for the audience,
just for the public, as we're trying to,
and that's good. The audience to know that we have this fine line here.
These variances too, yeah. That's good because you've been on the inside. You worked how many years in the state legislature?
Well, I worked
covering.
I worked for like 5 months for an Assembly Republican. I worked for 14 months for Senate Democrats.
Right.
I worked for another few months for Assembly Republican, different Assembly Republican. So there's, you know, I just wanted a taste. I didn't want it to be a career.
Yeah.
So I just needed to see what was in the behind the scenes.
That's good.
And I kept coming back to journalism, kept coming back to working at the Capitol.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone wants to know, well, what am I doing? Every 6 months they think I have a new job. So they keep asking, what are you doing now? You know, so we're keeping it, you know, we're keeping it busy. You know?
But now all of those experiences in your background, they collectively, you know, total up to, you know,
33 years in the
33 years.
Yeah.
And great background, great knowledge, great experience, and now you're doing a great job as president of Statewide News Service, which is a terrific thing.
Yep.
It's all good.
I'm going to learn, well, let's talk some more about the Assembly seats, because I wanted to point something out. There are 29 Democrats who have been in office for more than 20 years, and 2 Republicans who have been in office for more than 20 years.
Okay.
Only Jen Tedisco is one of them.
Yeah, Jen, survivor.
There's 6 new members who are under 30, 30 and under.
Yes.
And the youngest in the legislature is 25. There are 2 Republicans and 4 Democrats who are 30 and under of the members. 53 members are under 50. 18 are Republicans, 35 are Democrats.
That's good. 53 under 50, you've got some young blood.
Right.
Those are young people.
63 Assembly members are between 50 and 65. 45 are Democrats, and 18 are Republicans. Middle age, let's say.
Middle age,
I'm saying middle age.
That's true. The older you get, the older middle age.
It's that 15-year, it's that 15-year span, Carson. 50 to 65. 33 members are over 65, 5 are Republicans, and 28 are Democrats.
Okay, 50.
So you have 33 members who are over 65 years old.
Okay.
And they've been in there for quite a while.
Yes.
The Shelleys, you know, you can name the names. I don't know who's going to know that. This year, 1 seat flipped from Democrat to Republican. 5 seats flipped from Republican to Democrat. So Republicans took a beating. 1
Republican defectors. We're not mentioning names. But
no, they're not defectors.
What do you mean they
5 Republicans
you mean
were
by
defeated
election?
By Democrats.
Oh, they were party.
5 Republicans.
Oh, they were defeated.
Were defeated by 5
I misunderstood.
districts that were held by Republicans are now held by Democrats.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yes.
1 seat that was held by a Democrat is now held by a Republican.
Have you seen any?
There were 5. There was 1 Republican seat eliminated in Western New York.
Right.
Through redistricting, and 1 seat created in Nassau County that went to a Democrat.
Okay.
The Western New York seats were Republicans that was lost.
Yeah.
So even before the election started, the Democrats were up by 1. You know, I just wanted to give sort of a description or paint a picture of what the New York State Assembly would be like. It's going to be like this in 2013, this year, because people say, oh, it's the same old folks. Oh, it's the... But if you look at this, over the, we have 14% of the assembly is going to be freshman members.
Yes.
And over the past 10 years, if you look at that, there were 91 members have been in office for less than 10 years.
Yes.
91, that's more than half. 59 assembly members are in office for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So you have some institutional memory, but more than half have been in there less than a decade.
I have one word for that: healthy.
Healthy, isn't it?
That's a healthy organization.
I think so. It shows that there's
That's
a turnover.
you want.
There's a constant turnover.
And it also debunks the perception that they're just a bunch of all old men that are sleeping and have been there for 20 years or more.
Right.
So this is all good.
That's right.
That's a good balance.
So I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. It's good for the public to know these things. We're visiting with Marc Gronich, who is the president of Statewide News Service. You're watching Impact, and this is part 2 of a very interesting discussion on the makeup and the present balance of power in the New York State Legislature, the Senate, and the Assembly. And you've given us some great statistics, too.
One of the stories I wanted to tell you about, if we have some time.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes.
Is the fact that there was a couple of legislators in Western New York, Kevin Smarts and Dan Burling.
Yeah.
And when they did the redistricting, Kevin Smarts was a freshman. Dan Burling had been a senior veteran legislator, has been there for several terms.
Yeah.
And they put them into the same district. And there's another guy, Sean Hanna, who succeeded Sam Hoytman last year, and he was a freshman.
Yeah.
He's a Democrat. And so they put Kevin Smart's home in Sean Hanna's district so that he'd have to run against a popular Democrat in a blue-collar district.
Okay.
As opposed to putting Kevin, who's also a freshman, and he'd have to move if he ran in Dan Burling's seat. So it forced Kevin to retire at an early age. He came out of journalism. He was a TV guy. And Dan Burling also. So now you eliminated 2 Republicans, and then you had a freshman Republican with no seniority, coming in from Western New York. Yeah. It really shortchanged Western New York. Yeah. And
the representation.
And weakened the power base. And they really did a disservice to Western New York. Yeah. You could talk about population shifts all you want. Yeah. You can talk about how Western New York has lost population. That's why they needed to take it from there. Yeah. But they created the district on the Nassau-Queens border in Elmont, which would be a strong Democratic district, and where a Republican had no chance. Yeah.
That's let's do a whole show on redistricting and why they do it. In the mindset. What the political parties feel that they can gain, and with the power that they have and the ability to do it. I mean, I don't know. It's a little complicated to me. Redistricting. I know basically why it's done, but it's a long, tedious process.
One of my other venues or veering. One of the other times that I veered off the journalism track was I actually helped with my friend Phil. We redistricted 7 counties in New York State in 2000.
So you worked on a redistricting
2002
project.
So we did do 7 counties. We drew the lines for the county legislatures in 7 counties. Yeah. So I do have some experience.
Well, we're going to have to talk more about that.
We'll leave it at that for now.
This has been great. Good. Time flies when I'm with you, Marc.
We're having fun.
Yeah, we're having fun because we both are somewhat aware, you more than I am, of political goings on and the organization and structure of state government, local government. It's been a real pleasure having you here. Marc Gronich,
thank you. Happy New Year.
Statewide News Service. Yes. Thank you. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here. And that concludes our part 2 with Marc. But Marc is going to be back because he promised me and he said it on camera. So we're going to hold him to it.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. You've been watching Impact. I'm Nick Barber, your host. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Proctors, bringing the best in arts, education, and entertainment.